Power demands solitude. Not for comfort, not for peace, but for survival. Those who climb too high find that company becomes poison and loyalty a mask for betrayal. Today, we uncover why the truly powerful are always alone, and why they must be. Men speak often of friendship, loyalty, and trust, but these words deceive. The ruler, the commander, the man who bends the world to his will. He knows solitude as his only true companion, for in the presence of others, envy grows, ambition festers, and betrayal waits patiently behind a smile. Power is a fortress built on isolation, and those who fear loneliness will never rule. In this reflection, we descend into the cold truth. To remain untouchable, one must embrace being alone. Power is not maintained by the warmth of others. It is maintained by distance, by solitude, by the recognition that every smile directed toward you may carry a hidden blade. Think carefully. If you rose above your peers, if fortune and cunning placed you at the summit, would you expect love to follow you there? Or would you expect envy to gnaw at the hearts of those who look up at you, wishing they could pull you down? The most powerful men in history understood this. Caesar surrounded himself with friends, with senators, with loyal generals. Yet it was those closest to him, those who dined with him, who shared his victories, that plunged the knives into his body. Had he kept greater solitude, had he trusted less, perhaps the Senate floor would not have run red with his blood. Solitude is not weakness, it is armor. It shields the ruler from poison, both literal and psychological. When a man of power isolates himself, he is not withdrawing out of fear. He is calculating. He denies his enemies opportunities. He denies flatterers their chance to twist his ear. He denies the envious the illusion of closeness. Consider the psychology. Man is not content to merely admire greatness. He envies it. He resents it. And if given proximity, he will look for weakness to exploit. This is why kings sat on thrones elevated above their subjects. Not simply to display grandeur, but to create distance, physical and psychological. You too can feel this truth in daily life. Think of the colleague who pretends to admire you, yet grows bitter when your successes outshine theirs. Think of the so-called friend who begins to resent you the moment you achieve something they cannot. Proximity breeds rivalry. Distance breeds reverence. Do you believe Alexander the Great marched across the world with companions who were all loyal? Of course not. His generals plotted, argued, envied. But Alexander maintained a separation, always holding something of himself apart. He revealed just enough to inspire them, but never so much as to be fully known. Mystery, reinforced by solitude, preserved his authority. Now let us turn the mirror toward you. Why do you fear being alone? Is it because solitude forces you to face your own thoughts? Because silence reveals the emptiness of others' promises? Or is it because you believe companionship protects you? Understand this, companionship rarely protects. It distracts. It dulls your vigilance. It places weapons in the hands of others. And history shows, again and again, that those weapons will eventually be used. Even in politics today, the lesson remains. A leader who grows too familiar with the crowd is devoured by it. Proximity creates expectation. Endless demands for favors, for rewards, for weakness to be indulged. But the leader who withdraws, who maintains solitude, projects authority. Their silence makes people uneasy. Their absence makes people speak of them as if they were more powerful than they truly are. Ask yourself, when you see a figure who is always surrounded by chatter, always desperate for company, do you not sense their dependence? And when you see a figure who walks alone, who reveals little, do you not feel a sharper edge to their presence? Which one appears more dangerous? Which one appears more untouchable? The mind is cunning. It interprets solitude as strength. It imagines the silent man holds secrets. It fears what is not revealed. This is why the strategist protects himself with solitude. He denies others the chance to fully read him. He forces them to guess, and in guessing, they reveal themselves instead. Do not misunderstand. I do not suggest total isolation. No ruler, no strategist, no man of influence survives without networks, without instruments of power. But these must never be mistaken for true companionship. They are tools. They are pieces on the chessboard, to be arranged, moved, sacrificed when necessary. They are not your shield. Solitude is. Think of the Borgias. They wielded charm, alliance, and seduction as weapons. Yet the cunning among them never confused those bonds for loyalty. They stood apart, knowing that affection in politics is as fleeting as smoke in the wind. The moment it no longer serves another's advantage, it vanishes. So why do the powerful retreat behind walls? Why do they sit in chambers alone, dine alone, sleep in guarded quarters where even whispers cannot reach them? Because they understand that the closer others come, the less secure they are. Solitude is the invisible fortress. Its walls cannot be scaled. Its defenses cannot be bribed. You must decide. Do you crave company so much that you would expose your throat to the knife? Or can you embrace solitude as the price of safety, as the armor that keeps your power intact? Remember this: the man who fears solitude will never command it, and the one who cannot command it will never hold power for long. Now we move to the next truth. If solitude shields you, what is it shielding you from? Dependence. And dependence, as you will soon see, is the silent chain that enslaves even the strongest rulers. Dependence is the most silent form of enslavement. It does not shout. It does not strike. It whispers to you, slowly binding your freedom until you cannot move without another's permission. Think carefully. Who truly holds power? The man who commands, or the man who provides what the commander cannot live without? The answer reveals why the most powerful stand alone. History shows us this truth. Kings who relied too heavily on their nobles were little more than puppets, dancing to the strings of those who controlled their armies and gold. Consider the French kings before the rise of Louis XVI. Their crowns were ornaments, while their lords ruled their provinces like independent kingdoms. The king appeared mighty, yet he could not act without begging for support. He wore the title of master, but he lived as a dependent. Contrast this with rulers who severed their chains. Louis XVI, called the Spider King, wove webs of intrigue to destroy the great nobles and free himself from dependence. He bought loyalty where he could, crushed resistance where he must, and ensured that no man could starve him of power. His independence gave him strength. His cunning gave him freedom. And what of you? Do you not feel the same chains in daily life? Perhaps you depend on approval from others, on financial security provided by an employer, on companionship that soothes your fears of being alone. Each form of dependence feels comfortable, but each is a leash around your neck. Ask yourself, if the source of that comfort vanished, what would remain of you? Would you collapse? Would you panic? Would you beg? Then you do not rule, you are ruled. Dependence weakens judgment. A man who relies on others will hesitate to act, fearing the loss of their support. He will compromise, even betray his own advantage, to keep their favor. This is how kings lose kingdoms. This is how generals lose wars. This is how men lose themselves. Consider the fate of the Roman Senate during the rise of Augustus. They imagined themselves powerful, guardians of the Republic. Yet their authority was hollow, for they depended on Augustus to provide order, to secure the legions, to guard against chaos. Their dependence disarmed them. And when Augustus took absolute power, they applauded, relieved to be slaves if only their safety was assured. Dependence breeds obedience. Independence breeds authority. This law of power is as certain as the pull of gravity. In your own life, you may notice subtle examples. The friend who depends on you becomes cautious around you, bending to your will. The colleague who fears losing your approval listens more closely to your words. But the moment you depend on them, the balance shifts. You lose leverage, they gain it. You are no longer master, you are servant. Now reflect, why do rulers build treasuries, raise private armies, and command spies? Because each of these is a shield against dependence. Money frees them from begging. Armies free them from fear. Secrets free them from ignorance. Every instrument of power is, at its core, a weapon against dependence. But here lies the paradox: to achieve independence, one must often endure solitude. For the man who fears loneliness will grasp at others, and in grasping, he hands away control. He may feel safe, but he has already surrendered. And once surrendered, he can never truly rise. Do you see why the powerful live alone? Not because they hate company, but because they cannot risk needing it. They may use alliances, they may manipulate relationships, but they never become bound to them. They touch, but never clutch. They stand apart, knowing dependence is the chain that drags even the strongest down. Think again of Caesar. He conquered nations, commanded legions, and bent the republic to his will. But he became too dependent on the loyalty of those around him, believing their devotion unshakable. Dependence blinded him, and the moment that loyalty wavered, the daggers found his chest. Power demands the courage to cut chains before they tighten. It demands the discipline to endure solitude rather than seek comfort in weakness. And it demands the clarity to see dependence for what it is. Not friendship, not love, not security, but the beginning of your captivity. So I ask you, what do you depend on today? And if stripped of it tomorrow, would you still stand? Or would you crumble, exposed as one who never truly commanded his own life? Remember this: the tyrant who enslaves you is often not a man, but your own dependence on him. The moment you cut that bond, you rise. The moment you cling to it, you fall. And yet, dependence alone is not the greatest illusion of power. For even when bonds are cut, another danger lurks: loyalty. And loyalty, as we shall see next, is the most fragile mask of all. Loyalty is the most seductive lie in the theater of power. It is spoken with warmth. It is sworn with oaths. It is written into treaties and carved into promises. And yet, it dissolves the moment interest shifts. You may believe someone is loyal to you, but ask yourself, are they loyal to you or to the benefits you provide? Strip away the rewards, the protection, the advantage. What remains of their devotion? Usually nothing. History offers no shortage of corpses left by the betrayal of so-called loyal men. Consider the fate of Richard II of England. He trusted the loyalty of his nobles, believing his crown was shield enough. But when his rule weakened, those same nobles who once bent the knee rose against him, stripping him of power and leaving him to die in captivity. Loyalty, when tested, revealed itself as opportunism. This is the cruel truth: loyalty is not an absolute virtue. It is a transaction. It lasts only as long as it is useful. When the calculation shifts, the oath shatters. You see this even in your own life. Think of a colleague who flatters you, promising support, but the moment your influence wanes, their attention drifts elsewhere. Think of a friend who claims eternal loyalty, but when your needs conflict with theirs, they choose themselves. Why? Because human beings are loyal first and foremost to their own survival. Every other loyalty is secondary. Rulers have always known this. That is why wise princes never rely solely on devotion. They demand leverage. They ensure those who serve them need them more than they could ever betray them. Fear, reward, dependence. These are the anchors of loyalty. Without them, loyalty is nothing but air. Reflect on the Borgias. They were masters of exploiting this illusion. Their followers professed loyalty, but the Borgias did not trust words alone. They bound their allies with debt, favors, and fear. As long as betrayal was more costly than obedience, loyalty appeared real. But remove those pressures, and every alliance would fracture overnight. Even in modern life, the principle holds. An employee swears loyalty to their company until a better offer appears. A politician claims loyalty to the people until power tempts them elsewhere. A lover swears eternal devotion until passion cools or opportunity beckons. What is called loyalty is often nothing more than self-interest disguised in noble language. Do you not see how dangerous this illusion is? When you mistake loyalty for permanence, you expose yourself. You believe someone would never betray you. You relax your guard, and at that precise moment, you are most vulnerable. Caesar believed in the loyalty of Brutus, the man he treated like a son. Yet it was Brutus who drove the knife into him, proving once again that even the strongest bonds of affection cannot withstand ambition. The very ones you raise closest to you are often the ones most capable of betrayal. For proximity breeds both trust and envy eventually outweighs trust. Psychology confirms what history teaches. Human beings act to maximize advantage. They rationalize betrayal as necessity, as justice, as destiny. But underneath, the engine is always the same self-interest. Loyalty survives only when it aligns with gain. So, how should you see loyalty? Not as a virtue to be trusted, but as a mask to be studied. When someone declares themselves loyal, ask instead, what holds them here? Is it fear of losing something? Is it greed for what you provide? Is it lack of better options? Identify the chain, strengthen it if you must, but never believe the chain is unbreakable. This is why rulers isolate themselves. This is why the powerful maintain distance. They understand loyalty for what it is. A performance, an appearance, an arrangement that can change in an instant. They prepare for betrayal as the natural order, not as an aberration. And by preparing, they remain unshaken when it comes. Think of yourself. Who do you call loyal? And what happens when their interests turn? Will you be ready? Or will you be another fool surprised by the inevitable? Never forget, the most dangerous enemy you face is not the one who openly declares hatred. It is the one who kneels, swears loyalty, and waits for the moment your back is turned. Loyalty is an illusion, a necessary one, a useful one, but still an illusion. The wise man uses it, but never depends on it. He binds others with needs, with fears, with desires, but keeps his own freedom untouched. He walks alone, knowing that the hands that applaud today may strike tomorrow. And yet, there is another weapon more subtle than loyalty, more powerful than trust. It is not given, but cultivated. It is isolation itself, used not as weakness, but as strategy. That is where we go next. Isolation is not always a prison. Sometimes it is a throne. The powerful know this, for distance can be transformed into strategy. It is not mere solitude for survival. It is a weapon to control perception. Think carefully. What happens when you cannot fully see a man? You begin to imagine him. You fill the gaps with fear, with admiration, with suspicion. Mystery multiplies his presence. Absence inflates his power. This is why the shrewdest rulers often remain unseen. Consider the Venetian doges. Their appearances were rare, wrapped in ritual, guarded by layers of ceremony. The people did not know them as men of flesh, with flaws and weaknesses. They knew only the mask of office, and because they saw little, they imagined much. Now contrast this with rulers who expose themselves too often. Richard II, parading among his nobles, desperate for their affection. He showed himself as he was, fallible, emotional, needy, and so they despised him. Isolation denied him nothing, exposure destroyed him. You see the same principle in warfare. A general who keeps his army hidden forces the enemy to imagine its size. Is it vast? Is it small? The uncertainty becomes a weapon stronger than any sword. But the general who displays everything invites calculation, and once measured, he can be defeated. Do you reveal too much of yourself? In your words, in your gestures, in your presence? Do others know you so well that they no longer fear you? Then you have already surrendered the sharpest edge of authority. The mind fears what it does not understand. This is a law of human psychology. When you are silent, others speculate. When you are absent, others invent stories about you. And those stories, often darker and grander than reality, serve your power better than truth ever could. Think of Stalin. He rarely spoke in public. He rarely appeared among the people. And when he did, every appearance was calculated, rehearsed, and cloaked in ritual. His isolation cultivated an aura of invincibility. Men whispered about him in fear, uncertain of what he truly knew or what he would do. In truth, he was just a man. But in absence, he became something larger than life. Now imagine the opposite. A leader who is always accessible, always speaking, always present, he becomes ordinary. His flaws are laid bare. His words lose weight because they are too frequent. Familiarity breeds not respect, but contempt. Do you begin to see? Isolation is not withdrawal. It is stagecraft. It is the art of controlling what others see, and more importantly, what they do not see. By withholding, you make them hunger. By concealing, you force them to imagine. And imagination, once ignited, can make you appear 10 times greater than reality. Even in your daily life, the lesson applies. If you make yourself too available, too talkative, too open, others grow accustomed to you. They take you for granted. But when you pull back, when you speak rarely, when you choose silence, your presence becomes heavier. People lean in, they wonder, they fear missing your words. The strategist understands this. He knows that silence can be more powerful than speech, that absence can dominate a room more than presence. That to hold authority, one must cultivate mystery, and mystery cannot exist without isolation. Consider the theater. The actor who explains every detail of his character bores the audience. The one who withholds, who lets the audience guess, captures them. Power works the same way. If you reveal everything, you are predictable. If you reveal little, you remain unfathomable. Ask yourself, do you want to be understood, or do you want to be feared? Do you want to be liked, or do you want to be obeyed? The one who is liked is known too well. The one who is feared remains partly hidden, always beyond reach. Isolation is not a weakness. It is an art. It is the deliberate crafting of absence, the calculated withholding of the self to magnify the illusion of strength. The powerful man knows how to vanish from sight, only to reappear when his presence matters most. And each appearance, sharpened by scarcity, strikes like thunder. But strategy has its cost. Too much distance and fear may turn into rebellion. Too little and mystery evaporates. The balance is delicate, but it is in this balance that true command is born. So remember, withdrawal is not retreat. It is positioning. It is forcing others to see what you allow and to imagine the rest. Isolation used with precision is one of the greatest weapons of power. And yet, what is the final outcome of this strategy? If solitude is armor, if independence is freedom, if loyalty is illusion, and isolation is stagecraft, then the last truth emerges. The crown of power itself is carried alone. Power is never shared. It can be delegated. It can be borrowed. It can be disguised. But in its purest form, it belongs to one. The crown may appear surrounded by allies, advisors, servants, and guards. Yet when decisions must be made, when consequences must be endured, the weight falls on a single head. This is why the truly powerful are always alone. Think of Alexander. He marched with generals, with companions, with armies that adored him. But when the time came to decide whether to cross the Hindu Kush or to turn back, he alone carried the burden. Victory was his. Failure would have been his as well. The men could abandon him, but he could never abandon the crown. This is the solitude of ultimate command. To rule is to accept that no one else can carry the final responsibility. Others may counsel, but their words cost nothing. You bear the cost. You pay in blood, in fear, in survival. Do you desire power? Then ask yourself, are you willing to carry it alone? For many hunger for authority, but few can endure the isolation it demands. History is filled with examples. Napoleon trusted marshals, but the empire's fate rested on his shoulders. When the cannons thundered at Waterloo, his men fought bravely, but it was Napoleon who bore the shame of defeat. The crown does not divide, it consumes. Even in smaller matters, the principle holds. A leader of a company, a ruler of a household, even the silent manipulator of a social circle, each stands apart. The higher you rise, the fewer stand beside you. And the fewer who stand beside you, the heavier your steps become. This weight crushes those unprepared. Kings have gone mad beneath the pressure of solitude. Rulers have drowned themselves in pleasures to escape the crown's iron grip. But those who endure, those who can carry the crown alone, achieve what others cannot. They outlast. They dominate. They shape history itself. Psychology explains why. Man is social. He craves approval, companionship, validation. But the one who rules must resist this craving. He must replace the need for company with the need for clarity. The weak ruler seeks comfort in others' presence. The strong ruler accepts that no one can share the throne. Do you see the paradox? The crown is a symbol of absolute power, yet it is also a prison of absolute solitude. The king cannot step outside it. The general cannot pass the burden. The leader cannot truly confide, for every ear may be a spy, every ally a rival, every confidant a traitor. Consider Henry VI. Surrounded by courtiers, wives, and ministers, he was never truly accompanied. Each alliance served a purpose, each friendship a role. But when the crown demanded impossible choices, execution, war, betrayal, he stood alone. Every act of cruelty was the price of the solitude that comes with power. And what of loyalty, dependence, companionship? They can all exist, but only as illusions, as tools. For when the crown is placed on your head, you are stripped of equals. You may love, you may trust, but you cannot share the weight. It is yours alone. Now turn inward. Do you seek power to be admired, to be surrounded by companions, to feel secure? Then you do not seek power. You seek comfort. And comfort is the enemy of command. True power means silence at the summit. It means bearing the envy of those below, without bending to their resentment. It means walking into decisions where every outcome costs you, yet you must choose anyway. And it means understanding that no matter how many stand beside you in ceremony, in the end, you will be judged alone. Ask yourself, can you endure this? Can you stand without applause, without reassurance, without loyalty you can trust? Can you hold the crown, knowing it isolates you from every other soul? If not, then the crown will destroy you. For those who can endure, however, the solitude becomes clarity. The silence at the top becomes strength. And the crown, heavy though it is, becomes the ultimate weapon. The symbol of dominion that no one else can claim. This is the final truth. Power is indivisible. It demands solitude. It demands sacrifice. And it will leave you standing alone, even when you appear surrounded. But do not think this is the end. For solitude is not merely a burden, it is also a test, and only those who embrace it fully can master the art of ruling. The question is not whether you desire the crown. The question is whether you can bear it. Power is never exercised openly. It is hidden. It is felt, not seen. The most effective control is the kind your subjects never recognize as control at all. Give them the illusion of choice. Give them the comfort of trust. Give them the warmth of loyalty. And behind these illusions, bend their will to serve your own. Do you understand? Chains are strongest when invisible. Slaves who believe themselves free will never rebel. This is the essence of strategy: to rule not with the sword, but with the mind. To make others carry your burden, while believing it is their own desire. To remain in command even when unseen. So I ask you, how would you use this truth? Would you hide your hand? Would you control without being named the master? Comment your thoughts below. Subscribe if you seek more lessons in strategy, psychology, and power. And share this video so others too may glimpse the darker truths that rule the world. The choice, as always, is yours.